In this video, I show students how to run Eclipse for the first time and how to create a class using Eclipse. So before we get started, you should probably organize your files on your computer in a sensible way. So under my documents folder, I've got a folder called courses. I'm just going to make a new folder for our course. Now, I teach CISC 124 and CMPE 212 that both use Eclipse and Java. So I'm just going to make a CMPE 212 folder. In that folder, I'm going to make a directory called workspace. So your workspace folder is what where Eclipse stores all of your Java files. Now we go ahead and open Eclipse. So you can see I have 3 different versions of Eclipse installed. That's the most recent version here. So the one from 2021-12. So just run that. And when you run Eclipse for the first time, it's going to suggest a workspace folder like that. You don't want to put your files there. You should use something more sensible like what I've done over here. So go ahead and browse for that workspace folder that we created there. So I've got this under my documents, and then under courses, CMP212 workspace. And go ahead and hit select folder and then launch. If you don't want to see this message again, just click that little box there. If you have more than one course that's using Java, you probably don't want to click that box because you probably want to pick the folder that contains the workspace for your particular course. When Eclipse starts the first time, you're going to see this welcome message here. You can follow these links if you like. Tutorials, for example, or create Hello World or something like that. I'm basically going to do this one for you right now. So normally you don't need this thing here, you just close it. Now, when you, this is the default, what's called the default perspective for Java. Over here, you've got something called the Package Explorer. Here's where your editors will open up. This is called the outline view, which I'll show you in a moment. And down here is where various consoles and other things will appear when you're doing certain tasks in Eclipse. So Eclipse calls your projects Java projects. So if this is the first time opening up Eclipse, you can create a project with that link here. But you can always create a project by doing File, New, and then Java project. So I'm going to do that. And you'll get the new project dialog. So you have to give it a name. Now, when you give it a name, you should avoid spaces in the name. Right. So I'm going to create a project called Lab 1. Most of these default options are fine. The Windows version of Mac is different, as I'm seeing right here. So that module button, you want to uncheck that. Right, so modules are one of the mechanisms that Java has for organizing source code. It's useful when you have a project with many files in it. We're never going to have a project like that. So the creating modules adds some overhead that's not really worth it in this course. So uncheck that box, click next. Normally you don't have to do anything here. This is where you would this is where you would tell Java where to import, how to import other libraries and which libraries and so on and so forth. So we don't have anything like that. So click finish. And over here you'll see that what looks like a folder called Lab 1 has appeared. Right? If you go over to Explorer and look in your workspace folder, you'll see now that there is a folder called Lab1. So that folder there corresponds to this folder here in Eclipse. Right? If you click that little arrow, you'll see that these two things appear. Right? You'll see there's another folder called SRC. If you go into Lab1, you'll see that there is in fact an SRC folder here. You may not see some of these files. It depends on how your Windows Explorer is configured. Mine is configured to show all files, including hidden files. So it's possible that you don't see .settings, .classpath, or .project, because any file that begins with a dot normally indicates a hidden file. All right, so we want to create a class, right? So remember, every Java program has at least one class. So if you click on the source folder and then right-click, you get the file menu here. So I can do File, New Class, right? The other way to do this is with the source folder selected, do File, New Class. Oops, sorry. File, New Class, and you'll get the new Java class dialog. Oh, you know what? Let's do something else. Sorry. Instead of creating a class, let's create a package. So with source folder selected, right-click, New Package. So packages are another mechanism that Java uses to organize your source code. We will be using those in this course, so it's useful to know how to create them. The rules for creating a package or for naming a package is that it normally begins with a lowercase letter and it has no spaces in the name. So I'm going to make the package lab1. Click Finish, and you'll see here the lab1 package appears. If you go into the source folder here, you'll see that there is in fact a folder called lab1. Right? So your project is just a folder under your workspace folder. Lab1 is just a folder somewhere in the Lab1 project folder. Now we can create a class. So right-click on Lab1, New Class. You'll get the new Java class dialog. So here we have to give it our the name of the class. Remember, classes in Java by convention are named in upper camel case. So I'm going to make the Hello World class. So big H, E, L, O, capital W, O, R, L, D, right? Capital W because every word of a multi-name class name should be capitalized. Everything else stays the same for now. We'll learn about these other things later. We want to run this class. So we want to click the public static void main checkbox, and that'll create a main method for us. Press Finish, and the editor will open up with our newly created hello world.java file. So if I go into lab1, you'll see that there is this file called hello world.java. It has the same name as the class, right? It ends in .java. So that's the convention for naming Java files. You can see here that Eclipse has created the class with the package declaration already created for us. It's made a main method for us, right? It's got a little comment that says this is auto-generated, right? So I'm going to remove the comment and I'm going to fill in the body of the main method. So let's delete that. Notice that as soon as I edit the file, a little asterisk appears beside the name of the file in the tab of the editor. That indicates that you've made a change to the file that hasn't been saved yet. Right, so whenever you're submitting your work, right, make sure that you don't see a little star or asterisk beside the editor, beside the file name in the editor, because that means you're submitting the wrong version of your file. All right, so we'd like to print out hello world. In Java, that's system.out.println. Right, so let's start typing system. Now, as soon as I type the period, the IDE, Eclipse, will pop up a list of possible completions. Right, so you can see here that the system class has many methods in it that we can access. Right, and it's also got this thing called out that we can access. Right, and if you click on that, you should get some documentation for it. Right, so over here it tells you that out is the standard output stream. The stream is already open and ready to accept output data. Right, so it's basically telling you this is what you're going to use if you want to print something. Right, so there's even a little example there. So you can double click this, or you can just keep typing. I'm just going to keep typing. Right, system.out. print, right? Again, notice that Eclipse pops up a list of completions. So it's print ln, right? If I type in a round bracket, Java automatically inserts the closing round bracket, right? Let me get rid of the help, sorry. Okay. You can get rid of the help by pressing escape. I'm going to print out the string hello world, so double quote, right? And Java automatically inserts the closing double quote for you. And so now I can put in the string hello world, so hello, like that, exclamation mark. And remember that a print line statement will end with a semicolon in Java, so we put the semicolon in, and then we save our work. You can use the little disk icon here. You can use the file menu up here, right, save, or you can use Control S, which is what I'm going to do right now. And there we go. Now Java is a compiled language, so normally you would have to compile this program, but Eclipse, being an integrated development environment, will compile your code for you when you try to run it. So that little button up here will try to run the Hello World class. If Eclipse detects that the Hello World Java has not been compiled yet, it'll automatically compile it. So you go ahead and press that button. You can also run it from here, the run menu. So run, and then it's the top one. You can use the shortcut Control F11 if you like as well. So let's run that, and you'll see a console will appear down here. There you go, with the string hello world. And so there's your first program in Java created using Eclipse. Right, so you know how to make a project, you know how to make a package, and you now know how to make a class. All right, that's the end of this video.